What's up, everybody? I hope y'all are having a wonderful day. I'm Anthony. On today's video, I got a real special one for y'all. I have finally decided to completely crack out the math book, do all the numbers, and I finally have an answer for the question, how many acres do you need to be 100% food self-sufficient? Stay tuned. Okay, so like I said, I have cracked open the calculator. We have done a whole bunch of numbers. I literally stayed awake for like 2.5 hours doing this because it was very interesting to me and one of those questions that I think a lot of people don't take seriously, because I know I sure didn't. So I wanted to see exactly how many acres somebody needed to, say a family of 4, needed to be completely 100% food self-sufficient. So yeah, for the sake of this video, it's going to be a family of 4. If you have less, then congratulations, you don't need quite as much food. But if you have more, then you're going to need to think about more food than what I'm representing in this video. So keep that part in mind. Also, you're going to have to keep in mind that I'm in the southeast, so the only climate that I know how to grow food in, and I've done all this research for the video, is for the southeast. I will try to make honorable mentions for some of the things who may be in different climates, because you're probably going to get more of a harvest than what I can get down here in the south, but I'll let you know when I get to that point. But for all intents and purposes, this video is going to be basically about doing from the southeast, since that's where I'm from. Again, the question is, how many acres does one family need to be completely 100% self-sufficient for their food supply? In my honest opinion, I think you need 3. Now, the biggest reasoning behind this is because a family of 4, if you split up the calories, we can say equally they can get about 2,500. Now, if your kids are younger, they don't need 2,500 calories. Congratulations, you can divvy that up more for dad, for mom. If mom's, expecting a child, then she's obviously going to need more calories. But for the roundabout sake here in this argument, we're going to say 10,000 calories is going to be your daily amount. So when I mention 3 acres, I'm basically meaning 1 acre is 43,560 square feet. So you need 3 of those. And if you've seen a couple videos on my past, you know that I'm a humongous fan of grains, because when it comes down to survival, when it comes down to actually making and growing the food that you're going to use, it's going to push you through any kind of scenario, something that you can actually put on the table every single day. I think grains are where it's at, all right? Yeah, you can grow a whole bunch of squash, you can grow a whole bunch of spinach, you can grow a whole bunch of cabbage, but in reality, you're not going to get all your daily calories, all of your protein requirement just from vegetables. Grains are where it's at. Okay, so the first grain I really wanted to hit, the one that's probably going to be a core to a lot of people's homesteads if they're trying to grow their own food 100%, is going to be wheat, all right? In my area in South Carolina, you are expected per acre, if you plant wheat, to probably get about 47 bushels, okay? When you get 47 bushels, that's 1 bushel of wheat is 60 pounds. So if you multiply the two together, you're going to get about 2,820 pounds of wheat. Now, of that 2,820 pounds of wheat, you're going to want to subtract about 150 pounds for next year's seed, leaving you with a remainder of about 2,670 pounds. Now, that amount is what you're going to use for your calories for the year. If you take that, do a little bit of math, then that's basically leaving you with about 4 million calories for that remaining wheat. Now, if you have 90,000 calories in 1 bushel, if you divide 10,000 calories by 4 million, you are looking at about 423 days worth of food. So 1 acre of wheat will give a family of 4 about 423 days of food to survive on. One thing I want to make sure I'm completely 100% transparent on is, yeah, you might be able to be successful, you might be able to get 423 days worth of food initially, but the goal here is to keep it, because things like mice, things like water, moisture, all kinds of things are going to be destroying your food storage. So yeah, it'd be cool if you could be able to grow all that, but make sure that you are also able to store that and also able to use it, because if you can't really cook with wheat, if you only know like 1 recipe, that's going to get pretty old fast. So just as for this video, if you grow 1 acre of wheat, that gives you more than enough food for 1 year. So I know some of y'all are thinking, hey, I'm good now, all I need is 1 acre. I don't think so. Let me tell you why. The biggest reasoning is not everybody can grow wheat. All right, there are certain climates that wheat grows much better in, and other climates that don't. For me, if I want to grow wheat, it's going to be winter wheat, and it's going to take 8 to 9 months. Trust me, I know this because I'm doing it right now. So I have to think of something else just in case my wheat may fail. I have to think of another crop, another grain crop that will still get me my calories, but I can also put that on my plot. So what about corn? Corn grows really well in the southeast, like extremely well. will that be able to grow, you know, if I can do 1 acre of corn, will that give me enough food for a year? Well, let's do the math. 1 acre of corn, average, will give you about 132 bushels in my area. Now, 1 bushel of corn is 56 pounds. Each pound of corn gives you about 1,500 calories. 132 bushels times 132 bushels times 56 pounds per bushel will give you about 7,392 pounds of corn. Now, if you were to take that, do the whole math with the calories, you're going to be looking at about 11 million calories. And 11 million calories divided by a family of 4 will essentially give you 3 years worth of food. So 1 acre of corn will give you 3 years worth of food. That sounds pretty good, right? Absolutely. But again, there are always going to be instances where that corn might not give you that full potential. You might have a year where a hurricane comes in and blows all your corn down. You might have a year where it just gets really dry and you can't irrigate enough and you lose half your crop. You might have a problem with pests. You know, you might get a whole bunch of earworms that ruin half your crop. So you can't always guarantee that. But it is nice to know that if you plant 1 acre of corn, you're looking at about 3 years worth of food. Now, what about something else? Because you really can't grow wheat and corn over and over and over again, because if you do, you're going to wear out your soil pretty quickly. They learned that in the early 1800s when they kept trying to plant the same thing over and over, that all of a sudden every year they were getting less of a yield to eventually getting no yield because they basically depleted the soil. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to plant something in between the wheat and corn, something that can kind of replenish the nitrogen in the soil. So what are you going to plant? Well, you got 2 options. Your first option is going to be soybeans. Now, 1 acre of soybeans will give you about 35 bushels, in my area, of course. Each bushel is 60 pounds. So if you get calories per pound, you're about 600 calories per pound. Now, at 35 bushels and 60 pounds, you're looking at about 2,100 pounds of soybeans per acre. That's not a lot compared to the other ones, right? Because if you actually do the math, you're looking at about 1.26 million calories. You divide that by a family of 4, you're really only looking at about 126 days worth of food. Now that is not good. But the good thing about soybeans is they are very quick growing. So it's not like you're dedicating an entire year to this. It's just something you have to put in between your corn or between your wheat so you can replenish the soil. Because again, a bean will replenish the nitrogen in the soil if you get the right bacteria and inoculant. The main thing, the main grain that you can grow to fix your nitrogen is probably going to be the soybeans, okay? A lot of people in the country, basically all over the country, you can grow soybeans. But there's a certain part, like me, where you can grow a better one, and that is peanuts. All right, peanuts grow very well in the south. It requires a little bit longer of a growing season, but it also fixes the nitrogen in the soil because it is a legume. So if you say you wanted to grow 1 acre of peanuts, 1 acre of peanuts will yield about 4,000 pounds. Now you take a third of the weight off because of the shell, you're still looking at about 2,668 pounds of peanuts. Now if you were to look at 1 pound of shelled peanuts, you're looking at 2,500 calories. You do the math again, and you're looking at about 6.67 million calories per year. Divide that by a family of 4, and congratulations, you have 667 days, almost 2 years worth of calories from 1 acre of peanuts. Okay, so to this point, we have gone over wheat, we have gone over corn, soybeans, and peanuts. Now, not everybody can grow all those, and that's okay. What if you live somewhere up north, kind of close to Canada? What if you're in Canada? What is a crop that you can grow that is extremely well growing for your area? Well, in cooler climates, guess what you can grow? Potatoes. How much will 1 acre of potatoes yield? Now, we're just going to say like russet potatoes, your regular baking potato, or frying potato. And 1 acre of potatoes is going to give you about 30,000 pounds over the course of that acre. 1 pound of potatoes has 347 calories, so at 30,000 pounds times 347 calories, you're looking at about 10 million calories for that 1 acre. You divide that by your family of 4, congratulations, you have enough calories for 1,041 days. Sounds pretty good too, huh? So in reality, when people are saying you need 5, 10, 15 acres to be food self-sufficient, it doesn't really look that way, does it? Now for shits and giggles, I wanted to go over something that's not a grain. crop or a starch, something that a lot of people want to grow in their gardens every single year because it's something they enjoy eating. All right, so we're going to mention spinach. All right, just for sake of argument, spinach, a green, because it grows quickly. You can keep peeling leaves off as you need them, and as long as the weather doesn't get too hot, you can keep on eating spinach. So a lot of people like to grow it, and they look at that as a source of, hey, this is how I'm going to be able to eat. All right, so we're going to say spinach. Now, 1 acre of spinach will give you 14,400 pounds of spinach per acre. 1 pound of spinach has only 104 calories. So if you do the math, you're looking at 1 acre yielding 1.5 million calories. So that's only good enough for a family of 4 for 149 days. Now, I know what you're thinking, hey, that's actually pretty good, but there's one thing that you're not thinking about. In order for one person to get 2,500 calories from spinach per day, they're going to need to eat about 24 pounds of it in one single day. Now, if anyone out there can actually eat 24 pounds of spinach in one day, that's very impressive. And I hope you don't have any problems with oxalic acid, because I feel bad for your teeth and I feel bad for your gut, because 24 pounds of spinach is rough, even for like a month for me. All right, so up to this point, we have talked about grains and a vegetable. All right, so if you live in the plant world, then awesome. But I guarantee there's probably somebody watching this video who's gonna be like, well, hey, what about meat? What if I want to farm animals and I could, do things that way? That's fine. Meat is awesome, and it is a great source of all 9 essential amino acids, so you don't have to worry about having a deficiency in one. So if you want to have something like chickens, you absolutely can do so. Now, I did the math on this as well. If you wanted to have 1 full acre dedicated to grazing your own chickens, then you can absolutely do so. Because if you give each chicken about 10 square feet, that's still going to give you about 4,356 chickens per that acre. All right. Now, if you're going to finish those chickens up, probably get about 8 pounds out of them. By the time you clean them, you're about getting 5 pounds of meat. So 5 pounds of meat times 4,356 chickens will give you about 21,780 pounds of meat. All right, 1 pound of chicken will give you about 1,000 calories. So if you do the math, 1 acre of chickens is probably going to give you around about 23 million calories. Now, 23 million calories divided by a family of 4. Congratulations, you now have about 6.5 years worth of food. It's pretty freaking impressive. But again, we're talking about food self-sufficiency here. If you have 1 acre and you want to put chickens on all of them, that's awesome. But how are you going to feed them? It's kind of a big deal, right? So we need to lessen that. We're not going to do 1 acre of chickens. That's ridiculous. We're not going to have a chicken house here. So say you wanted to have something a little bit more subdued, something that everybody can do. All right. So we're going to say 200 chickens a year. Now, if you want to raise chickens, you can basically finish them out by about 12 weeks. 12 weeks is about the standard average, and that means you can raise 4, I want to say litters, but 4 batches of them per year. So if you want to do 200 chickens, then you can do 50 at a time. This amount can be done in a 30 by 20 chicken house, essentially the size of my garden that's fenced in. That's extremely doable, and I think most people can do that on a small scale. So if you want to do, say, 50 at a time, which is awesome, by the way, it's still going to give you about 1,000 pounds of meat. All right, 1,000 pounds of meat times all your calories, you're still looking at about over a million, almost 1.1 million calories, which is enough for 108 days for a family of 4. And that's only a small little section. So a 30 by 20 area will still give you over 100 days worth of food. That's impressive. Again, the problem with that is if you are going to be 100% food self-sufficient, you have to think about how much your birds are going to be eating, because you can't go out and buy chicken feed, all right? Because part of the whole purpose of being 100% self-sufficient when it comes to your food is also not having to buy feed for your livestock. So that means that you're going to have to grow your own for them. Now, this is where it gets actually interesting. If you look at meat birds and how much they're actually going to eat per day throughout that 12-week lifespan, they're going to average about 1/4 pound of feed per chicken per day. Now, if you have 50 birds, you're going to be looking at about 12.5 pounds per day. 12.5 pounds per day by times 12 weeks, which is 84 days, you're looking at about 1,050 pounds, or roughly 26 bags of feed. That's kind of crazy, right? So if you do that 4 times per year, you're still looking at over 100 bags of chicken feed. That's a lot of money. So again, you can't go out and buy that stuff. You have to be able to grow your own. So say you grow something like wheat for them. Well, 300 calories per day. We go back to our original formula we used at the beginning. For wheat, you're looking at 14 bushels required for 50 birds and 56 bushels required for 200 birds. Meaning that all the wheat you thought you saved up for yourself is now being used on birds, and then some. You're actually, if you have 1 acre and there's only 47 bushels that you get from wheat and you need 56 bushels, you're running at a deficit. So that's why you need more than 1 acre, because you have to be able to feed those animals. Okay, so I know I've probably lost literally every single one of you watching this video, because a lot of math makes your head explode. I know it did me, but I'm also one of those numbers guys that finds this stuff very interesting. But the whole point of this, the whole reason why I threw all those numbers at you, the reason why I threw every single bit of scenario is when I gave the number for 3 acres, I did so for a reason. Essentially what I'm determining is you're going to need half an acre for at least your home, your vehicles, and your tractor. Okay, so I'm basically giving out the space for living and doing your, you know, daily things, because again, we're only food self-sufficient. We can still have a tractor and still go out and buy fuel. We just can't go out and buy food. So a tractor will make everything much easier in order to actually plant the seed and to harvest. So that's why I say you need at least half an acre for that. Now you're going to want to have a full acre dedicated to 1 grain crop. Absolutely, no doubt about it. You're also going to want to have, for me personally, I would like to have that 30 by 20 for my chickens. Okay, so because chickens can give me meat, but they can also give me manure, fertilizer, things that I can use to replenish my fields, so I'm not sitting here, you know, using my soil to it's nothing. I'm going to have 1 acre for grains. I'm going to have that little 30 by 20 for the chickens. That's going to take me up to 1.5 acres, a little over 1.5 acres. Well, what about the remainder? Why do I say you need 3? Because again, you're not going to eat just one thing. Okay, if you're growing wheat for those chickens, then that 1 acre and some change is going to have to go strictly towards the chickens, meaning you're still going to have to grow another acre of food just for you. So they got another acre, say you're growing wheat for the chickens, you're going to grow 1 acre of, let's say, corn. All right, congratulations, you have that acre. So now it's 2.5 acres spoken for. What are you going to do with that other last half acre? That's where you're going to want to grow your traditional vegetable garden, okay? That's where you're going to want to grow your greens. That's where you're going to want to grow your salad stuff, your tomatoes, your squash, the traditional things that most people think about when they say, hey, are you going to go plant a garden? So that's what's going to give you all your nutrition, that's going to give you your vitamins, and that's what's going to basically make all the food that you're growing palatable, something that you can absolutely eat. So that's the whole point here, and that's why I say at the bare minimum, if you have a family of 4, you need 3 acres. Okay, so what have we learned from doing this entire video? What have I learned from doing this entire video? Well, number 1, it's surprising exactly how many calories you can actually grow just from 1 acre. It's pretty impressive actually, and that's including bad years. You know, this is an average here. This isn't like I'm taking the best number. This is like the average number. So yeah, you can grow some hardcore amount of calories just on 1 acre, which is very impressive. But you have to remember that you have to take care of your soil. You also have to save seed for the following year, and you have to make sure that you are storing things properly. So that's going to be a big one. That's where a lot of people are going to struggle. So variety also helps out, because I know for a fact every single year I've been growing my garden, which is almost a decade now, if I grow the same thing, I may rotate it, but if I grow the same thing, I'm still going to have off years. I'm still going to have a year where the beans just don't do well, or I'll have a year where the peppers don't do well. I'm sure the same thing can be said about, you know, grains, wheat, corn, something. I'm going to have an off year, and I don't want that one off year to be the one that actually, you know, destroys my family, because I can't go out and buy food, remember? So that's why having more acres than you might need will be absolutely wonderful. So if you can at least give yourself a bare minimum of 3, that would be, you know, great. And if you give yourself, you know, even more, like 4, 5, 6, 10, then that just insulates you so much better. That's why I want to do this video. That's why I wanted to do the exercise. All right, so I think I'm gonna wind the video down now. I'm pretty sure I've probably lost about 95% of y'all. Whoever's left, I applaud you. You were able to go through a lot of numbers without completely losing your mind. That was it's one of those fun things I did, you know, on a weekday that I was like, let's figure this out, because I like doing math and stuff. I know I'm kind of crazy, but it was kind of shocking to me because there's so much you get per acre, but you still got to find a way to store that, and then you got to find a way to process it, and then you got to figure out a way to cook it. So if you want to do this for like a full-time lifestyle, then you are going to be busy, and I feel for you. So I'm going to be 100% completely honest with y'all. I have no intentions of ever being 100% food self-sufficient. I like to be able to supplement my grocery bill, but I have no intentions of ever being able to do this 100% by myself. That is way too much work, and it's just daunting thinking about it. So yeah, just giving y'all a heads up. I don't plan on doing this, but I do get the question every so often, so I want to be able to refer to a video, this video, to show you exactly how many acres I think you need to be 100% food self-sufficient in my climate. If this video helped you at all, please do me a humongous favor and give me a thumbs up. Refer it to a friend. Get this video out there because I think it might answer a lot of questions that a lot of people might have. But with that being said, subscribe, and I'll catch y'all later, okay? Bye. And not that it really matters, but there's a reason why I talk about some of the crops I talk about, some of the things I talk about, because I have experience growing them. There's my corn. There goes my soybeans. Here's my wheat. Well, would you looky there, I'm also growing peanuts. Oh, look, he's got potatoes too. Weird.